Testing, check, check. Hello, welcome to my Thursday stream. I'm Aletha Singleton. I'm the owner of Ninja Robot Studio LLC. And on this stream on Thursdays, I play video games and VR experiences and talk through them from a UX designer's perspective, because game development has a very heavy and direct influence on XR development. So it makes sense that we would study game design to make better XR experiences. And I go by genre, and right now I'm studying training sims, and at each time I play through a sim, I'll talk through it based on the pillars of gaming UX. And if you want to learn more about those, there is a video that I'm sharing in the chat. Maybe if my bot is working. Did I type it wrong? Okay, no, it's working. And if you want to, and what I'm doing, what I do, this is actual work that I'm doing to help me, inform me to create content, because I create a lot of content, educational content around UX for XR. And so what I'm working on Thursdays and on Tuesdays, when I stream on Tuesdays as well, is research that I'm then going to be using to create something, some kind of content. And right now I'm working on creating a few things. I'm working on patterns for a pattern library for how other people have solved problems. The pattern library that's educational, not just a bunch of pretty pictures. It's going to actually be educational and informative. And also I'm creating a online course. So I offer online courses, and my link tree will also be shared in the chat and in the show notes for those going to be watching this on demand later. If you're watching right now, you can also check out the About section on my Twitch page and get all kinds of links from there. But I'm working on a course that is about designing for training. That's the majority of my experience with XR creation and design, is training sims, safety training with consequences. Teaching you the consequences if you don't do this thing safely with these proper procedures. This is what could happen, and it's a safe way of teaching people the gravity of what they're dealing with in these dangerous job situations and so forth that they found themselves in. So, and that has been proven to save lives. I've seen it. I've seen the results of that, saving people's lives. So that's what we're working on is right now training sims. And of course, there are all other kinds of applications for training besides just safety. But right now, I am looking at fire safety training, which is a demo. It's a free demo of a PC-based VR experience that's available on Steam. I don't know if it's available anywhere else. It's available on Steam, and for free demo. You have to pay if you want all the stuff. But yeah, free if you want to check it out for yourself. But that's the one that I'm going through now. After I play through each game, I'll go through a rose thorn butt exercise, and that rose thorn butt exercise is talking about what went well with it, what did not go well with it, and what could we do about that. And if this were our project, what would be our next steps? If this were not a VR experience or an XR experience, what would we need to think about for our XR best practices in order to make this, in order to translate this into an XR experience? And if it is already a VR experience, if it were in augmented or mixed reality, what would we need to think about for that? So just thinking beyond what it is and thinking about what it could be. And since I'm having to cut the stream short because of a series of meetings that are happening on Thursdays right now, I did not finish that rose sword bonnet exercise and all of that follow-up last time. All I had time to do was play through it, and then I did some notes based on memory. There were a lot of thorns about it. That's good, because those are awesome things that we can learn from, and I'm probably going to use this in the course that I create. I'm probably going to use this sim in the course I create as our case study. So it's great that this is here, that there are thorns. So so I'm just going to, since that was a rapid thing from memory last time, I'm just going to scrub the video of me playing it last week and fill in this rose thorn bud exercise. And if you were so the idea with this, and the idea with this stream, is to show you practical methods that I use for design research. So there are different types of research. There's user research or field research, where you go out and you study your target audience and understand the thing that it is that you're designing or redesigning, and the people that you were designing this thing for. Because it's very important that you understand the people. This is human-centered design. You need to understand the humans and your target audience specifically, not just random people that have nothing to do with anything. Fire safety training is great because there's all kinds of applications for fire safety training. Whereas, depending on what you're training, what you're creating, there's going to be a specific target audience for that. And even still, you have to pick a target audience for your fire safety training. In this instance, it is an office building I think it's at a manufacturing site, I'm not sure, but it is an office building. So choosing, is it a home, is it an office building, that's going to hit a different target audience. So you need to understand those things. It can't be for everybody. It has to be for somebody. So then you go research that target audience, and based on that, you create your experience. And there's this other type of research, which is called design research, where I almost forgot what I was talking about because I got off on research, where you study how have other people solved this problem based on what I've learned about my target audience and the solution that we need to create. I need to now do some design research that sees how have other people solved this problem. What are the gaps that they're not filling, where my solution could fill in that gap and be a standout in the marketplace, for example, or be a more compelling experience for people than what is there. What's not working right now? What is working? How can we make that even better for people based on what's out there right now? That is, some people would call that market research. It's called competitive landscaping, and that is something that designers do in order to get inspiration for their designs. And that's what I do. Every time I design something, I will do competitive landscape at some level to see how has this problem been solved before, because there's zero point in reinventing the wheel if the wheel works, but you can make the wheel better. So let's do competitive landscaping. That is part of design research, and that's what we're doing now. So if you see me doing this research, this is a person who has been doing this for years that you're able to watch do this, so that you can gain that knowledge that you would not otherwise get unless you were on a job, which is one of the issues that we're having right now, is people are only hiring experienced people. They're not hiring entry-level people because they want people with experience. And how are they going to get experience if they don't get hired? So that's one of the things, one of the reasons I do this is on the stream, is to let you see this. This is how it's done. This is how I would do it if this were a project I was doing. It is a project I'm doing, but it's a different kind of project that I'm doing because I'm creating a course. But this is how I would do it for any project. So, and I might like come out with a feature matrix and like what features does this one have versus this one, and do a table and all that, which I can get some pretty crazy tables going on with feature matrices between different solutions. And then, of course, you would also want to, if you have the funding and time, do usability testing on those things, especially if you're going to be buying one of those solutions instead of making your own. But that's a different thing. So anyway, I'm just going to scrub the video today and add my notes here because, again, I have another meeting at the top of the next hour, and I need to keep this stream short for that. And feel free to add your input in the chat or in YouTube if you're watching this later on demand, because I do check those comments and I do try to respond to them. Not always immediate, of course, but I do check them and respond to them when I can. So go ahead and make your comments in YouTube if you're watching this on demand later, and here on Twitch if you're watching right now. Feel free to participate, because that's what I'm wanting. I'm wanting you to get that experience participating. Okay, so let's get going. I'm just putting on my headset, which is why you want to give people the ability to start and stop on their own without just automatically starting the experience as soon as they like launch it, because they could still be adjusting their headset like I'm doing right now in the video. And I don't think I have my like earphones in. Nope, I don't. I'm still putting them in, so I couldn't hear anything. If anything had started talking, I wouldn't have been able to hear it. So let them initiate the start and stop of their experience, which I have here. So that's good. So I was experiencing some jitter. I will make sure to mention that. There seems to be this trend among the professionally created ones. Oh, yeah, I already have it. Seems to be a trend that looks like that the official training sims aren't optimized well. Please work on that. You don't want, because jittering makes people sick, you don't want to do that. I know that budgets and stuff are a thing, timelines are a thing, I've been there, but optimization can be done. It can be done. And the way they make things nowadays, it's a lot easier to do that optimization. If you're doing it on Unity, Unreal is a different story entirely. I'm starting to try to learn Unreal for XR creation, and this music is insanely loud to me. Again, I have sensitive hearing. The music is always really loud. It's probably fine for y'all, but super loud for me. What was I saying? Oh, Unreal is very difficult to, it's a lot more difficult to create XR, especially for the Quest. PC-based, yeah, you can do AAA games PC-based on Unreal. Great PC-based VR experiences. This was a PC-based and it still jittered, so there's some things going on with that I don't know about, why they were done that way. There are some efficient ways to create sims. If you're not efficient with your models and your materials and your assets and so forth, then that can add extra unnecessary load. If you're not efficient with your code, that can also be an issue. Optimizing your images, optimizing your models is an important thing to increase performance, and then like lighting and so forth also affects it. All kinds of things to prevent this jitter and CPU drain. It seems to be a trend amongst the official training sims that I have tried out there in the wild. This seems to be a trend with official training sims available on Steam, like the free ones out there in the wild. And if it's a demo, why would you not want to optimize your demo? First impressions, all that. Okay. Also, it looks like they are, which I don't remember mentioning when I went through this, but all they're doing is showing a diagram of buttons. And let's see what this menu says, because I ignored it. It was just so annoying to me, this menu. Wait, there was also a language option. Probably talk about it. Okay. Use the trigger for action and movement. Go to the menu, button 3. They do an onboarding, and they do tell you how to do things throughout. If this were just this, if you're onboarding, what I mean by onboarding is teaching you how to do the stuff, teaching you how to like interact with the world, that onboarding. They also need to work on their visual hierarchy of their text, because they're just, it looks like they're just using the native Unity font, which is like one font, and they haven't even like used visual hierarchy in it to do anything with the text treatment. Visual hierarchy helps people scan information quickly, which is important when you're conveying information. So, do I care to include that? That is the question. So, if this were the only thing that they showed you to teach you how to interact with the world, and did not teach you later how to do things as you went, that would be a big no-no. You show and let them do, you don't just tell. And I do cover that in the synthesis here somewhere. That's already covered. So I think I'm just gonna not. Well, so I don't remember what's in the menu. I don't remember checking it, so I'd have to load this back up and check that menu. Maybe I'll do that later. Let me. So I need some follow-up stuff. Let me do follow-up. I'm still getting used to my keyboard because I switched keyboards, and I'm used to using my Mac keyboard, even though I'm on a PC. I've been using my 2005 Mac keyboard since 2005, and so getting used to a normal Windows keyboard is weird because the keys are different, and so it's like, which key am I supposed to be using now for this shortcut? Because I don't know it on this keyboard. I'm gonna have to go get my Mac keyboard and put it next to this one so I can compare and figure it out. Okay, follow up. I'll make it bigger. Follow up. What does menu button 3 do? So that's where it is. Because I didn't even pay attention to that. All I saw was the big continue button and I clicked it. I didn't even read this. So the reason this is this color right now, they're color coded. The roses are yellow because I have this mental association of pink. In the standard rose thorn bud that you look up online, these post-its are usually pink and the thorns are usually green. But the problem I have with that is coming from this long history of UX. And using post-its for things. Whenever we map out experience mapping, we make pain points pink and thorns, that pain points would be pink, and good things, like good parts of the experience, would be green. And so putting the good things as pink and the bad things as green totally messes up my mental my mental association with colors on post-its that I don't want to really change, because then it's going to be confusing for any other UX person that comes along behind me that has that long history and color association. So mine are yellow and the thorns are blue and my buds are green, because these are like next steps, things that we want to follow up on. I could make these a different color, like purple or something as well. Right now, this is follow up. Once I get the answer, I'll change it to whether or not it's a rose or a thorn, probably, or whatever. So right now it's follow up because it's the next step. The next steps and what would we do better things, opportunities, questions, follow up. Those are all going to be that bud color. That's how I do it. Anyway, you may find other people doing it differently, but yeah. So I don't even know what that does. And I don't even know which button is button 3 because I can't read that panel. Because the image is blurry. See. So if I expand this, you're not going to be able to see it because of how OBS is set up. Well, let me try it. Oh, it did work. Okay. So button 3 is Y on that controller. Okay. What does that menu look like? That's what I... It might be a menu that we see later, but I guess it's just saying how do you pull it up later if you want to. I completely forgot about it. I'm trying to decide, do I want to say anything about that? And like, how important is it to access that menu? I don't know what's in that menu, so I need to find out. So that was an annoying thing, is that panel. Let's see. Jittering, raycast, showing at all times. Hands not animated properly. Let's see. That happen everywhere or just here? I need to see. The starting panel. Follows you around and obscures the view. This is annoying when you're looking around trying to get acquainted with your surroundings. It's okay to have it in one spot. Okay. We want to have at least one bud per thorn. Keep it in one position and spawn them facing that position. If they're looking in the wrong, different direction, use in world wayfinding and sound effects to get them to look where you want. Make sure you're not annoying about it, like they are in this video. Because what happened here? Because the voice narration kept repeating, and it's really, really annoying. Because especially if you're looking at a classroom setting, and maybe that's something I'll add over here. Classroom settings. This needs to be talked about. Is if you're in a classroom setting, you're going to be talking to your classmates, you're going to be talking to your trainer, even if you're in the headset, and doing things that are annoying, like making the panel follow you around when you're trying to look around and you're talking to people, or the voice narration that keeps repeating itself like it's doing in this one. It's so annoying, especially when you're having a conversation and it just stresses you out and you're going to miss something, and it's distracting, and you're not gonna like have an effective like classroom training experience with that happening. If it's now, so that's what you need to know ahead of time when you're like scoping your project. Know ahead of time your target audience, and the deployment, how it's going to be deployed, like the plans for distribution, is it going to be, did I spell it? Yes, I did spell it wrong. Like, is it going to be like classroom versus individual without trainer? Without a trainer, that matters a lot. So know that ahead of time, because you would design it differently for each of those situations. This one seems to be designed more for individual. Now, whether or not that was their intent, I don't know. But you would want to know your target audience, and like if there are, like for this one, it seems like they was deployed for like out to the masses. So since this one's deployed on Steam, seems like either of those could happen. And so then if that's the case, then you would want to take that into account and design accordingly. And in that case, I would say design it for the classroom setting, because it's not going to hurt the individual. That method won't hurt the individual, however, the other way will. It will hurt the classroom. So if you're gonna have to do that, then do it that way. Design it for the classroom, because then so it's just like designing something for accessibility. It doesn't just benefit those with accessibility issues, it benefits everyone, because if it's easy enough for the person to use with accessibility, then it's going to be that much of a better experience for people who don't have accessibility issues yet. Because we all age, and we're all going to have accessibility issues at some point in our lives, so we need to think about that. I strongly think about vision, because I am at risk of losing my vision in the future. My vision gets exponentially worse every year, and my prescription changes constantly. And even with my prescription, my eye vision the glasses don't always help, because of eye pressure and dryness in my eyes, because of like I'm at risk of getting like glaucoma in the future. And so I'm showing like all of those things that make them want to keep me monitored. So vision is something that's important to me. And then also motor function impairment is important to me. First of all, because of my height, I'm in the lower 1 percentile of adult height. I'm not the shortest adult out there, but I am short. And I promise I'm short. I just made my furniture to fit me, so it doesn't look like I am. And my arm is injured, and I can't move it very well right now, which we saw in the last week's stream, that I couldn't reach something that I needed to reach, because I couldn't move my arm. So I had to I had to switch my controllers and stuff to reach it with my other arm, because it only let you do it with your right arm. So motor function impairment and vision are important to me, because those are things that I deal with all the time. Okay. So I want to double check the animations on the hands, which we should see as we go through the video. I'm still putting on my headset. I'm getting some jitteriness. Oh, yeah, language settings are, yeah, I already have that. Okay. Seems to be doing okay right now. Yeah, I am getting some jitter. I've got two things of music going on right now. I'm going to just stop this other one so that we can hear this one. Okay, this looks like a I already feel a little weird because these, did I even put that in here? Yeah, they're offset from real life. Okay. Controllers, the way they have them mapped, you can set up an offset in VR on where your you can do that in Unity, in your hand and so forth. And I'm assuming you can do the same thing in Unreal, but you can definitely do it in Unity. And already these are off. I can tell these are off from my actual location of my actual controllers. Because this is something to do with proprioception. Proprioception is your ability to know where each of your body parts are within, I think it's like 8 or 5 centimeters of accuracy. And I can tell you right now that these are not where my controllers are in real life. They're off. They're off. Yep. And so I talked through that. I'm going to go ahead and all of the time, and is a relatively simple thing to do to hide the raycast until they interact with something that's interactable. It's very easy to do this, and it also prevents accidental clicks on things when you set up your UI layers separately so that your raycast is not interfering with and causing accidental clicks on things if you interact with something. I'm distance settings on. Controllers. You have to move your hand closer to interact with the radio buttons during the phone call. You have to switch, because I can't move. Yeah. Having to switch controllers around to make it work. So this, I need to follow up and see what that NPC was doing. These pink notes are just notes to myself to do something, but I'll just add that to the follow-up list. What was that NPC doing? Why weren't they helping? Another thing is whenever I turn my head, this thing is following me around. So what if I want to look around the room? Yeah, it's grayed out, but maybe I want to look around the room, but this thing's following me and blocking my view. We want to be able to get associated with our view whenever we get into a new thing and into a new world. This is a natural thing we want to do. And it's, even though it's grayed out, is this in here? This is in here, right? Yeah, it's right here. Okay. Natural for people to want to I guess that I'm trying to add the education now, but this isn't, that goes over here. Anyway, so we'll do that in the here. Yeah, I'll do that when I write the educational part. So that's fine. Go ahead and do it. Natural for people to want to look around and get acquainted with their surroundings, even if those surroundings are grayed out. So let them do so. It's a part of our human nature to want to understand where we are. It's part of an instinct. It's an instinct that we have. Let us do it. Let us do it. Just let us look around. Stop blocking our view. Without obstructing our view with a floating panel. Those things are so annoying. Okay. And when you're annoyed, another thing, you also want to avoid annoying your students. This is a what? Avoid annoying your students. Annoyed students are distracted students. And distracted students can't learn. Okay. Was there anything else that was annoying? Yes. I'm gonna move this up because that one goes with that one. They both go with that one. And although there is another there's more that I want to say there, like let students accompany voice with text and let them progress at own pace. Stop repeating. Stop repeating. There are many video game examples. You know how you turn on auto progress and stuff in the dialogue. Give them that option. Don't just give option to auto progress or manually progress. If you don't have the ability to do both for whatever reason, do manual, especially for training. and accompany the voice with text. That is an accessibility thing, as well as classroom setting again, and they were sharing way too much information at once. So yeah, it's information overload. And let them go at their own pace. Convey information in digestible chunks. Nah, stop throwing all that information overload at people. Okay, and we are still on the first panel. Okay. That's annoying. You want to not do that. It's better to keep the UI panel where you want. Just keep it in a set place in space, just like you would in real life. A panel that you interact in real life doesn't follow you around. Just follow that rule. And if you want them to look somewhere, what would you do in real life? You use wayfinding in real life to get them to look where you want them to go. Sound effects, spatial audio, things like that to get them to look where you want them to look. But it's human nature whenever you first get into VR is to look around the whole thing. It's human nature. So they're going to eventually see it if they don't. So it's okay to not follow around your head. This is actually really annoying. It does give you 2 options for language, which is nice, and they are shown in the language that is actually being spoken, which is also an excellent best practice. So I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. This is a free demo.
To continue, adjust the IPD, place yourself in the center of the room, and make sure you put the headset on correctly. After that, point at the continue button with your controller beam and pull the trigger.
But it's telling me how to properly adjust my interpupillary distance and get onboarding. Includes adjusting IPD in safety workplace space and the headset for vision. And safety for play space, which is nice. They do that. Get my headset set up and set up my play space and so forth, which is nice. But since I'm already in the headset, I've kind of already got my headset on. But at least it's telling me make sure my IPD is adjusted. That's fine. That's nice. It's good. Helps prevent eye strain. And if you're in a
to continue, adjust the IPD. Place yourself in the center of the room and make sure move to the.
That is why you don't do that for a classroom setting training. That's just annoying.
Electrical shield. To move, point the controller at the green circle and pull the trigger.
Instructions right now. And it'll probably continue repeating them because I haven't done anything, which is fine. But if you're in a classroom setting, which is what I was trying to say, you've got shared devices and you're talking to a trainer or you're talking to other classmates, then you're going to want to be able to progress this definitely at your own pace. And you're going to want to accompany all of the vocal instruction with written instruction because it's very possible that you're going to miss something. And I'm getting a really bad jitter on this thing in the headset.
Move to the electrical shield. To move, point the controller at the green circle and pull the trigger.
So let's see, they are not using standard buttons for various interactions. I'm getting jitter. Optimize your freaking stuff. That's the bud. Pause. Optimize. 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 And yeah, the controllers aren't using standard interaction. Yeah, here. I've got it up here. And it seems like a harmless thing right now, but if you don't have like standard interaction patterns for this stuff, it makes it harder. It's like imagine with the mouse having to use different mouse button to select each time you changed your experience, your software. Like in the standard Windows, you use the left button whereas to select or click on something, whereas in the browser you use the right button to click. Imagine how incredibly frustrating that would be in your everyday life. And now you're trying to get used to a new thing, and every time you start a new experience, your buttons have changed. How much longer is it going to take you to learn how to interact with that thing? And yeah, it happens all the time in gaming, but in gaming, you have your hotbar. And you can modify your hotbar in gaming. You can't, at least not yet, in VR without a lot of background knowledge on how to do that, like in your Steam custom controller settings, which don't always work that great. So, and you have to like be a power player to do that. But they don't have the tooltips in the VR experience to remind you what does what. And so that's going to increase your accidental interactions or get you frustrated and start spam clicking on your controller because you don't remember what does what. So we want to have some kind of standard for interactions. Like on, for example, PlayStation. I have a PlayStation controller. The X is what's most often used for select on PlayStation games in the US. And the circle is most often used for the back button in the US. However, when I switch to Japanese games, which they're working on changing this to the anger of many Japanese players, is it's opposite. Is you use the circle to select and the X to go back. And the Japanese are used to this, just like we're used to opposite. And PlayStation has recently announced that they're going to change it and make it all X as select and circle as back to the American or East, whatever we are, Western standard, which is making a lot of Japanese people mad because it's going to mess up their game. They're going to be accidentally clicking on stuff all the time for a while until they get used to it. Just like whenever I switch from the PlayStation to, I'll play the same game on the PlayStation and I'll switch platforms and play it on like mobile when I go mobile. On the PlayStation, it's the standard United States interaction, but when I go on mobile, it is Japanese. So I have to keep switching my buttons in my brain and until I get used to it. I keep doing accidental clicks And so the same thing's going to happen with VR, except in VR, we don't have those hotbars reminding us of what things are unless you design those in, and people aren't right now. A lot of the times, as you can see in this training sim, they are not. That's why it's important to have memory cues and tooltips. Those are important. To help people remember how to interact with stuff. Because even if you teach them, they're going to forget. I've seen it happen in usability testing. They're using buttons that non-standard buttons for interactions. So like grab interactions are on the trigger instead of the grip. Teleport is on the trigger instead of the grip, instead of joystick. Everything's on the trigger, and I think that they did this to simplify it for people who aren't used to XR. Because I've seen that happen before. Probably to simplify for people not used to XR, or I've seen both to mitigate grip issues on the Vive wand. However, there's other solutions for that. Cross-platform design. Practices for controllers. And use standard button interactions for controllers and memory cues toolkits. Because they're starting to work on standards for all this, and we want to get those standards in mind. Because when the mouse first came out, people were having issues with the mouse. But then at some point there was a standard, and as you see with the controller designs, they're all starting to look alike. So there's a standard that's coming out. So then we need to start following that standard. Since I'm talking a lot, this is taking longer than, so I'm gonna have to continue this one next week, which is fine. Fine. I'm fine with that. Use memory to keep. Okay, use standard buttons, and yeah. And on that one, I would say design for accessibility and motor function impairments. Design with accessibility in mind, especially for this type of training. Especially dependent on, well, no, actually, no, it doesn't depend on the type of training. Do it anyway. Because, like, if you're in a manufacturing site, I was going to say that they're probably not going to hire someone to work out in the field depending on the motor function impairment because it's not safe for them. However, injuries still happen out in the field. So they still need to be able to react and handle situations even if they're injured. How do they do that? So think about that whenever you're designing your training experiences. Keep it in mind. Regardless, keep it in mind. depending on the motor function impairment, of course, because it's just not safe for them. Okay, and so I've got a thing coming up very soon, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and stop, but let's see. I'm gonna make a note where I stopped. At 16:43. So we haven't even actually gotten into the sim yet, but this is all really good because this is gonna help me with my course creation. So this is helpful, hopefully for y'all as well. And I will see y'all next time. Good rest of your week. Thanks for hanging out.